Thanks, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. Sound you hear is me unbuckling my makeup train. Not gunshots, I promise. Though I do want to take aim at a subject that I think matters here, and that is regarding the towers. I am getting ready, and I thought we would do a get ready with me that's not filmed. One day I'll do one on film. People have asked for that, so we'll do that someday. But what I have for you right now is some information about this. I just finished up with clients and I had a download about this. And the download is this. You have been in situations with people that have wanted a lot of your help, empath. For those of you that are new here, I'm a professional intuitive empath, just so you know. And I work with people all over the world every day regarding helping them figure out the problems that are going on in their life via intuition and psychic abilities. But here's what I want to tell you. I also have a lot of lessons that I learned just from observation, just from experience. And this is something that I notice happens with a lot of my empaths and divine feminines and intuitives, earth angels. You guys are my mission here on this earth. So I'm supposed to teach you guys. And this is what we're going to talk about. And I'm dedicated to it, really. Um, because I want you guys to live better, more rich and fulfilled lives. So we'll get some makeup done and we'll talk about a couple of these important lessons. You cannot help someone avoid their towers, okay? Let me help you understand what that means. If you're reading tarot, the tower is scorpionic energy. And this energy, scorpionic energy, anytime it presents itself, and it presents itself in a myriad of different ways. My bestie was just texting. She never misses. Um, it presents itself in a myriad of different ways, and it shows up in the cards in various different things. So when we're dealing with scorpionic energy in our cards, what we're going to see is the tower. We'll see the death card because scorpionic energy ends things. Even in its good vibration, it causes transformation. So it's still an ending. So that's what scorpionic energy looks like and shows up as, just so that you know what you're dealing with there. It shows up in various other cards too. I have videos up here about all the cards that are associated with scorpionic energy. The Seven of Cups is one, which means indecision. I'm telling you this because these visual aids are fantastic for understanding how we can come to a crossroads in our life and be confused, because scorpionic energy in a low vibration aids to confusion and disillusionment. Seven of Cups is very much that. Positively aspected in a reading, it could be you have options, and negatively aspect it could be you have so many options that you think you have options that you'll let go of an option, a situation, a person, a place, or a thing, an opportunity that's actually the right one for you. Because when you see that card, there are several things coming out of the cups in the Seven of Cups, and one of them is a snake, and one of them is a diamond, and right. You have to choose, but you can't look into the cup. You have to intuit, and scorpionic energy is associated with her intuition because they are a water sign, deeply perceptive, deeply psychic. So when I say you can't help someone avoid the tower, the death card, the tower, and the Seven of Cups, all associated with scorpionic energy. And the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups is grief, loss, and sadness, okay? Which will inevitably come once the tower falls. Now, I have other videos, like I set up, that walk us through the journey of the tarot, if you need to understand that. But if you don't study tarot and that's not your jam, let's just talk about the basics, ma'am. You can't help someone avoid their tower. And here's what I mean by that. A lot of us have got ourselves into snafus previously where we have tried to assist people in avoiding things that we could see coming to them because we are psychic, because we are intuitive, because we're paying attention. And we love people and we want to spare them of the gruesome outcomes that will befall them. Now, that doesn't mean that we haven't had our own gruesome outcomes that we've had to avoid and that could potentially befall us. But what they're saying to me here, and what you need to know, is that yes, we did avoid them, but we usually will see a friend, a loved one, maybe a lover, taking a road that we rather them not take, being in a position that we rather them not be in. Give me 1 second, guys. Gotta get some lipstick on here. Thank you for your patience. Important application. Overdrawn, you look crazy. Underdrawn, you look crazy. So, got it just right. Bow of the lip. Nice and tight. I will definitely film one of these on camera and show my transformation from bare face with primer to lipstick. And today I'm wearing a bright outfit, surprise, and so I'm doing an ombre lip. So this first set has to dry. Anyway, so uh, what what was I saying? Yes, the tower. So the tower comes in, it's unavoidable, and we will want to help people avoid that tower because we know what incredible pain comes with it. Now, what comes with the tower? Well, we talked about some of the very strong energies that come with the tower, which have to do with loss, really. The tower is all about loss. It's all about you actually truly losing, actually not being the boss, actually relinquishing control. The tower comes in specifically to help you identify areas in your life that need to be changed. The tower is the edifice that we build of our life, brick by brick, day after day, year after year. It's a lot of information given to us by our tribe, the things that we should love, the things we should fear. And it's representative of an edifice that no longer works for us. One of our first major towers happens in our Saturn return. So I've talked about that as well. Well, sometimes, even if someone's not in their Saturn return, the tower will fall. And some of the towers have fell. And so what this means is that you have to be in this position of deciphering what is the right thing for you. Now, specifically in my case, I have walked a lot of people through their towers and avoiding them. But here's the thing, you can't always avoid your tower. Those towers are put in your life to shake things up. I had a tower moment in my life that changed everything. It was terrible when it happened. It broke my heart. And then everything was magic after. And when I say magic, things regrew. And I had pain and I still had to go through my grieving process. But for the most part, I ended up on the much better side. That's the magic of the tower. Now, if a tower is falling and someone's not getting the lesson, that's where we're usually trying to step in to avoid it. I knew the tower was falling because I pay attention to my intuitive guidance, because I pay attention to my communication from my angels. I knew they prepared me years in advance. They let me grieve the tower, even with the persons whom I would have to walk away from, all of that stuff. It was very lovely. I was given grace. That's what they talk about with mercy. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life, and you shall dwell in the house of the Lord. Whether you're Christian or not, if you're an empath, an earth angel, you are grandfathered into that mercy and grace because of the goodness that's in you, because of the fact that you chose to come in to this earth plane in a specific lifetime body with your specific limitations, with your specific trials and tribulations. And surely goodness and mercy shall follow you. What do they say? The meek shall inherit the earth. Well, yes, I believe that, but I also believe that we should know our worth, okay? Yeah, we're not just going to stay meek forever. So here's the deal. You can see, because you're psychic, a tower coming for somebody, and you'll try to warn them. What will happen usually, because they have their own lessons to learn that have nothing to do with you. And that was one of the biggest lessons I had to learn, was I couldn't take personal the fact that the person actually disregarded me. I mean, I did, but my angels dealt with me on that. They said, what you think you're the only person who gets lessons? It was very selfish of me, guys. Does that make sense? I was very much like, no, I must protect her. And they said, are you Jesus? Because we don't understand. I remember once being in a protocol with a dear friend of mine, and I dropped I pulled too many bags. You know how you can pull the bags, and it was too many. And I was like, oh, I feel terrible and whatever. And she says, are you Jesus? You just pick the bags up and put them in the trash so no one else gets them. But I was like over there having a panic attack because I felt bad that I'd wasted the bags, yada, yada, yada. Empaths, can you relate? So what I will tell you is that we are not Jesus. And that was one of the first times I heard that phrase. And it actually helped me to understand, in fact, I am not Jesus, and I cannot be perfect all the time, and I can only do my best and make it right in the places I can. Well, when we have the savior complex, and a lot of us do, because we're entrenched usually through trauma bond and codependency with people that we want to help avoid the tower, what we'll do is we'll take on their karma. That's a message here. That's a huge part of this lesson, even though I didn't prescript this, that just came in. They're like, this is a bullet point. Don't take on someone's karma trying to help them avoid their tower, because it inevitably will happen. So what you do is you try to warn them. Now, sometimes you'll be allowed to warn them. I have, like I said, direct channeled guidance from my angels and ancestors about how to deal with things. And for a while, I disregarded them because I love the person So much more, even so, for a long time than I love myself. And that is the truth. That's something else you need to assess about you and your reality regarding where you stand with whomever is in your life. How much do you love them versus how much do they love you versus how much do you love yourself? Because that's going to let you know to what degree you're going to listen to your angelic guidance. Okay. So for a long time, I was like, I see this tower coming. How do I help them avoid it? What do I do? And the angel said, well, you warn them, just like we will too. It was kind of like a tag team effort. Warn them over here, warn them over there, and we'll warn them again one more time here. We're also going to speak to them quietly when you're not around too, because obviously they you were assigned to them, earth angels. Sometimes we're assigned to people that we're going to help, but we have to get out of the mindset that they need us, because they said they don't need you. That's what my angel said. They don't need you. They needed advice. They needed a shoulder to cry on. They needed maybe an earth angel to befriend, but if they disrespect you, they won't be able to do it again and again. So, regarding telling someone about their tower coming or falling, if you do it once, fine. You might even do it up to 3 times, and that's my kind of personal rule. No one gave that to me. I can't say that that was downloaded angelically. This is just what I have learned. The rule of 3 is a beautiful thing. This goes for telling someone that you love them, you're in love with them, you care about them, you see them in a certain way. You can only tell somebody so many times something. If they don't see it, then they're not your person. The universe will work on them and bring them around. And they'll get it someday, or they won't. Okay. So if you are warning people, the same is true. If you're warning and warning and warning and warning and warning, then what will happen inevitably is they will turn against you. And that is where we get into trouble when we try to help people avoid their towers from falling. So in my case, I certainly did that. I warned and warned and warned and warned and warned, and then I just pulled back because I had my rule of 3, and everything that I said happened exactly to me, meaning that that person turned on me. That person thought I was the bad guy, disregarded me anyway, because you know why? The tower for them had to fall anyway. They had to fall, and it had to fall in my absence. Earth angels sometimes are put in people's life, just like we have our angels. A lot of people don't have that guidance, right? We have our spiritual guidance, we have our intuition that's pretty sharp. A lot of people don't have that, so we get to kind of like be surrogates in some way and play the part. We're there to help people develop it. We're not there to help carry it completely for them, though. Okay, so understand that. Please know your role. We are not Jesus. Again, I resubmit that argument. It's a very salient argument to you. We are not the Godhead. So what happens is we are there to guide them, though we can be their Jiminy Cricket. Now, that is seen if you look at the Fool. If you Google the Fool in tarot, you will see that archetype played out beautifully, the Jiminy Cricket. And that's represented by. Oh, thank you, S. That title is, she says that title hits hard. It does. It does hit hard, just like those towers do. But what that card is represented by a guy, the proverbial 18-year-old, essentially, a guy or girl ready to strike out and take on the world. And in the corner of his heel is a trusty dog, and he's got his backpack. He's ready to do it. It means a lot of things in any reading, but it means a new journey, a new beginning, or someone who is actually foolish. Okay, you know they say God protects babies and fools. In the second iteration of your life, it means that you've learned your lessons, and you know that life isn't going to be just easy and breezy like an 18-year-old might be disillusioned and not know the realities of responsibility. In the first iteration, it means you're whiling, as the kids like to say. You are not paying attention to something. You need to be careful because you're about to fall off of a cliff if you see the depiction in the card. Now, what that dog represents is your conscience or your intuition or your Jiminy Cricket. Okay, guys? So, yeah, tarot's a lot more than just a few pictures. An evil divination, as the Christians say. It is really a guidebook to help you understand parables and metaphors, like Jesus used to say, quite literally. And anyway, that's another message for another day. So, what you are is a Jiminy Cricket and a conscience and an extension for someone who hasn't fully developed theirs. And it's tricky there because there could be codependency. But if you see, like, let's say, for example, that someone's partner is not good for them and you're trying to set them free, what's going to happen, guys? If you're in the comments and you've ever had this happen, please chime in. I'd love to hear your story. But what's going to happen is they're going to turn on you, and they're going to make you the monster. They're going to make you the person that's trying to tear their love apart. Star-crossed lovers. We know the story from Romeo and Juliet. It is the most dramatic it can get, and it doesn't change, it doesn't waver. This is exactly what will happen is people will look at you and put you down on paper as the villain in their love story. Let's say someone has a bad group of friends and you can see that it's going to end gory and you talk to them about it. You have to be so careful how you manage it. Or someone has a partner or a spouse or a husband they're dedicated to staying in a toxic cycle with, but they come to you and what do, my earth angels? They vent and vent and vent, right? They want all of your advice, they want all of your life force and all of your energy so that you can help set them free, but they don't really want to be free, sweetie. They ain't trying to be free, mama. Okay, they don't want to be free. What they want is for someone to commiserate in their misery, and they want to stay there firm and um entrenched firmly, excuse me, that's what I was trying to say, entrenched firmly in the crazy, and they want to be there day after miserable day. Listen guys, you can only give so much advice to people that are like committed to not getting it right. You can only give so much of your life to people that don't have a dog in the fight of their own freedom. And what I mean by that is that when I say they don't have a dog in the fight of their own freedom, they don't. They don't care about what's happening to them. They may care in the moment, but that is fleeting because the oxytocin, the serotonin, the trauma bonding, the addiction is overwhelming. You guys get it? That's the lesson here for a lot of you guys that are like, but I want to save them. Don't save them. They don't want to be saved. There are no truer messages ever given. No truer messages ever given. Don't save them. They don't want to be saved. And what will happen is they will steal your life force, your energy, and you will be depleted and you're helping them and then they're back with them. Let me give you an example of something that happened to me. I had a friend who was in a terrible marriage. He was in a marriage with somebody who was terrible. He was terrible and he was awful and he was merciless and she was a sweetheart. And she grew up in Christianity and she grew up with parents that were married and still are and have been for over 40 years, okay? And so she did not want to as she said, quote unquote, fail, as many of us won't. But this guy was treating her toxically, badly. She got all of the red flags. Her angels talked to her. Now, this was not a person who was sucking my energy in any way. She was a good friend, and she just had a terrible husband who thought he was a pimp and actually was trying to live that out. And I've talked about her story a little bit before, just got a throat chakra hit. But that's interesting because that happens a lot to readers if you notice that throat chakra thing out of nowhere. What happened in that situation was that she wasn't using her throat chakra specifically to speak up. So I would go and we would have holiday parties. This is my friend that I had all of my favorite holiday parties with. And she would host them and I would come in and cater it when I was doing catering back in the day and all that stuff, but more prevalently. And so it would be all of this wonderful energy and I'd come over and help her. Well, I remember, let me tell you the story. I remember one time going over to help her get set up. We had planned our Christmas party. We had done the whole thing. I was bringing over, having a fabulous Italian themed menu, polenta poured down the wooden board on the table, magic, right? So, we're getting ready to set up. I come in, she's crying in the corner, and I'm like, "Sweetie, what is wrong?" And I didn't notice it at first, and then I see her, and she's overlooking her mortgage, and apparently she discovered at that day, right before I came in, that her husband hadn't been paying the mortgage and hadn't been paying it for a long time. And for whatever reason, she intercepted the mail. And the reason isn't whatever, the reason is the divine. We will always get messages and we always will get alerts about someone that's on demon time, is what I like to call it. Demon time is when someone is literally selling their soul and their energetic body to demonic lower vibrational energy. And he was on demon time in a myriad of ways. That is facilitated by drug addictions, sexual escapades that are outlandish and outside of the realm of the rules of your marriage. That is addicted. It's addiction, period. It's representative of that. Alcoholism, you name it, right? Porn, sex, shopping, gambling. So he was hitting all of those. And so his vibration was very low and his priorities were not in place. So she's crying. I'm like, okay, babe, that's fine. We're going to still do the party. I'm not being merciless, but it was like, I'm very much the show must go on. And I was like, well, the show's going to go on, but that was the beginning crack. Well, we hugged it out. We talked it out. And then I started to just really show up and have her back. I would stay with her a lot because she didn't like to be by herself alone. And there were so many nights when he never came home. This is when you're watching someone observe their tower slowly falling. And so I would hold her hand energetically. I would be there spiritually. She's very, very Christian, so Christian that she doesn't actually agree with my professionalism and what I do, but we love each other, so we agree to disagree. As long as she puts respect on my name, then I will too. So we talk about God all the time, even though I tell her, like, what I do is literally rooted in God. My messages are from the angels, but we all have our boxes. But that didn't stop us from being friends, and I don't think that you should let things like that stop you. Religion can separate people. Spirituality, I think, bridges a gap, but people sometimes get scared of that. That's a separate message. But in any case, I love this friend to this day dearly. But I held her through walking through the divorce. And there was a lot of stops and false starts. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Should I ever let him go? And I was there to guide her. But she was listening. This is a good tale of the tower. The tower fell. And I was trying to get her out. I gave her predictions, even though it wasn't necessarily what she was about. In fact, one time, it's so funny, she got desperate enough that she actually said, "Can you do a reading for me?" When I say desperate enough, because for her religion, that's like blasphemy, right? But we both grew up Pentecostal. And so that was like, when she said that, I was like, oh, she's really starting to hear. She's really, like, she's getting to the point of needing to get out of there. And incidentally enough, this archetype that she had showed up in my life in the very same way later, but not the same. Same, not same. So in any case, she came to me, we did the reading, and we just started. And for years before the tower fully fell, I predicted that it would not end well, and exactly why it wouldn't and how it would go. And but she was moving very slow. So then this is how the universe will send the tower in to fall more quickly. And what happened was, her deal breaker was is if he got someone pregnant with a baby, because she had issues with fertility and she really wanted a baby, and she really wanted to conceive, and she came from a family with a brother and her, and she loved family. And so this was it. Well, sometimes the universe will do something that's so egregious when it's your own personal tower that you can't avoid it and you can't unsee it. In my case, that certainly happened when my tower fell, but I'm studying this now anthropologically. When I talk to all my clients, I really take notes about this. This happens over and over and over again. Something will happen that's so big that you have to wake up and really see it, and then you have to sign what I call the universal waiver. And it's not one that comes down from the heavens with golden sparkles around it and a magical wand to sign. It is, or a feathered quill from the angels. It is just an understanding that if I go forward with this person or situation, I fully now know what I'm into and what I'm going to be getting into. Like, I think of Gabrielle Union staying with Dwayne Wade after he had his quote unquote break baby. That was a tower in her life. And she decided, I see who he is. I'm gonna stick beside him. I love him. And I'm gonna go on and be his wife. She had a choice there to get on or off the ride. I call them exit ramps, right? So I watched this girl have a lot of opportunity to get off the exit expeditiously, and she didn't. And then what happened was he got someone pregnant. So, and when he did, here's the thing, because she was intuitive, she is incredibly perceptive. She's considered prophetic in her spirituality or her religion. And she had a dream months before that he was pregnant, exactly with the sex of child that he was pregnant with. And she called me when she had the dream and said, I just dreamt this and whatever, whatever. And then months later, she finally, now let's talk about this. She knew the tower was falling, so she filed for divorce. It took forever, and she was starting to learn her worth, and I was so proud of her. I was so proud of her. But she filed for divorce, and he was shocked by it, of course, even though he was wildly philandering. And you know what he said to her upon the filing? He said, I got to tell you something. That girl that I told you was nothing, yeah, she's pregnant. Can you imagine her devastation to have found that out before filing? But her intuition told her he is wiling. He's wiling out. He is wild. Rubber band man, wild as a Taliban. No cares in his left and ending your life in his other hand. So she had a lot of opportunities to get out of that situation, and she finally did. But it was in the nick of time. And she said to me, Monette, had I not have filed, even though it crushed me, I don't think I would have gotten off the floor. I would have crumbled completely, because the only thing she wanted was to have a child with him. And she was with him for many, many, many years, like, I don't know, like 14. Knew both of his parents while they were alive, nursed his father as he died. Men are so crazy to me. People that take for granted the beauty of a good woman in their life and think that a dime a dozen will get it right. There's only going to be so many people, maybe one, two, three people in your life, up to three if you're lucky, that really cherish and value you. And then you'll go on to other people that don't respect that energy. But anyway, that's another message for another day. So that's how she avoided her tower falling in the most gruesome of ways. I did advise her, and she wasn't an energy suck. The reason I started the story, though, is this. There was one time where he got violent in a way that he never did. And I was worried. And I said, and she said, I need you to come pick me up. I'm concerned. There are weapons involved. There's a gun. And I just need you to come. She called me from a closet. Very domestic violence situation, which was not like him. He was out of his mind on drugs. Demon time. You guys get it? So I said to her, I said, girl, if I come get you, here's what you need to know. I will never be involved again in this situation because I know from my own living life and statistics that there is retaliation for people that help rescue domestic violence abuse people. And that I had spent a lot of time curating a relationship with this man in order to be able to be by her side where he didn't see me as a threat. It's a very tricky thing to do. Another video, maybe some of you guys can relate to that, because I knew that if I was to let her be ostracized, as abusers like to do, that she would have nobody to call in that moment when she needed me. And I said, so if you need me and you want me to do this, it happens one time. And after that, I will not be involved, but from a distance, you can call my phone anytime, but I will not be at your house and I will not be involved in your life. So you think about if you want this lifeline. She called her parents, same thing. They said the same thing I did. Me and her parents did not talk. Her parents speak primarily Spanish. Me and her parents did not talk at all. But she told me later, my mom and my dad said the same thing. My dad said to me, if I come and get you, you're leaving. That's it. You're not going back, leaving. You're coming and move back in, Puerto Rican parents, Spanish parents, you can live with them for the rest of your life. They don't care. So, and the same thing with West Indian. Every culture in America, it's really weird. But we can all live with, like, a lot of my friends that are of other ethnic cultures can live with their parents forever and ever. Amen. 18 is a hilarious thing to them. They're like, what? Are you married? Why are you leaving? So even if you're married, come here. Anyway, so we both stood our ground. Her parents and I, and her and excuse me, yeah, her parents and I both stood our ground with her, and we said we'll happily come get you right now, immediately, and whisk you away to safety. But what we won't do is be caught up in this roller coaster with you. Sometimes people that have towers falling aren't really ready to let them fall, and they will get you involved, and it could be detrimental to your livelihood and your safety. So I knew that, and so she actually got herself throat chakra hit out of it that night, and she was like, "No, I understand," because she knew she wasn't ready to leave yet. And she wasn't. She didn't leave for another year and a half or so. Okay. So I called it right intuitively, though that may have seemed cruel. But this is why I say she didn't drain me. But that was the one time where we were teetering on the boundaries of, girl, I'm going to help you. But what I won't do is be caught up in this roller coaster and back and forth game that people. And here's the thing: she was really in a terrible situation. It was horrible, and I would have done anything for her. But what I wasn't going to do was try to involve myself energetically in someone who didn't want to set themselves free. Message. Now, let's go back to the messier side of the tower. I was proud of her. I use her as a beautiful example of you listening to her premonition, filing divorce before he could hit her with that bombshell. Oh yeah, my girlfriend that I told you wasn't my girlfriend is pregnant. XYZ, the third power. Also, can I just do a full cautionary tale and a wraparound? Recently, they've been divorced for years. Recently, he got into a terrible accident because he's not listening. He's very spiritually gifted, actually plays piano for multiple churches across well, I don't live in the town anymore, but across the town that she lives in. His parents were pastors, etc. So that's what their calling was: a divine masculine, divine feminine couple, if ever there was, that was definitely tempted by devil energy, and he bought it in always. And he was wild. Girl, if I told y'all stories, I could write a whole book of her life. I always tell her she should. So, what I will say is that he got into an accident, and he's had several, but because he's reckless, and wrecks happen when you're reckless and when you're doing DUIs and all the rest of it. And guess who had his back? Even though she has moved on with her life, she built a beautiful career for herself. She became like number one in real estate in the Spanish demographic. She's amazing, and she's back in I think a seminary school. She's going to be a marital counselor, ironically, and because we learn lessons and then we teach, right? Doesn't my Angela say that when we learn, teach? So here's the deal: she built a beautiful life for herself, as one will do when you divest from someone who is holding you down and who is horrible for you. and is sucking your energy. But her protection, her veil of protection as an empath, though she never called herself that, was removed from her husband, ex-husband, and now his karma was coming for him viciously. So he was having wild things happen that never happened in their marriage because he was under the umbrella of her protection and love. A divine feminine that loves you well, protects you quietly, prays for you. She was up all hours of the night onto her hands and knees, begging God for mercy for his life. Well, she moved on with hers. And the mercy, he had to pray for himself. And I guess he missed his prayer time that night and decided to do drugs and alcohol instead. And he flipped his car several times on the interstate and ended up badly having multiple surgeries, almost ending up paralyzed. And who do you think was by his side? His ex wife, who he tried and tried and tried, disrespected, neglected, ignored, and abused. And she said she walked in one day and there was another set of, there was like some girls scampering out, and those girls disappeared within the first day or three or two. Meanwhile, my friend has been there for weeks and months, taking him to appointments, helping him when he can't get up. This guy's huge too. She's my friend's tiny. She's like, I don't know, 5'3" maybe. Her ex-husband is like 6'8", seriously. So she showed up actually, and I said, "Girl, you are a saint if ever there was." And she says, Monette, it's always been him that I loved. I'm not reconciling because I'm checking on her, y'all. I'm like, girl, what's going on? I love your spirit, sweetheart, but don't you get tempted back in. This is exactly the position that his angels wanted him in, because they told him the tower will fall if you disrespect our beloved and let her be neglected, and you will watch her move on and love someone else, and when you need her there will be no her. But in this case, she's so good she showed up. I don't know, that's her lesson and I'm so proud of her, but she was his blessing. Maybe someone here needs to hear that about a situation where someone took you for granted. Make sense? Okay. I hope that message resonated. Regarding helping your friends and family when their towers are falling, though, you cannot step in, because then that karma comes to you. My friend will have to divest from helping her ex-husband after a certain time. He was in a bad state, and she knows, with no parents here and his siblings not able to do, that it was her. Fine, that was her. She prayed about it. She told me she did. God bless her. But sometimes we'll want to stay in the fight. I know I have in my life, and I've talked to you guys about that. I know I have wanted to stay in the fight and do things with people, but they sometimes, when someone treats you so unright, you have no choice but to leave, and then you don't want to help. It's almost like a gift that the angel gives you, so that the angels give you, so that you don't play yourself. Does that make sense, guys? I definitely recall that feeling for myself when the tower fell, when someone treated me so unwell and they were so smug and so sure of themselves, and I knew that it was all a big pile. But that's okay, they didn't want my advice, and after a while I just smiled and I walked away slowly, because I knew, you know what it was? You know the meme of the girl who is standing across the street while the house is burning? That's exactly. I didn't set the fire, but I was looking back like at my angels, and they were like, this is gonna burn, baby, burn. And that's what happens. That house burns for those people to learn. Because just like my friend who did listen to her dreams, intuition, and she was slow, like we all are, y'all. It takes us a while to get out of a situation when we thought we were right and we heard right. These two people were really men and women of God, but he chose his own path. And his own path is leading him to now having literally a rod in his back and spinal issues and almost paralysis, because he wasn't listening to my good sis who was trying to help him the whole time. Anyway, you cannot save people from their karma. You cannot save people from the tower. And sometimes when you interfere, you get karma. I was having terrible luck in so many areas of my life, and it's because I was staying attached to someone who wasn't treating me right. And my angels were testing me, and they said, Monette, how much do you love you? Why does this person matter more than you? Because she doesn't care about you. And in your time of need, she is going to scamper away happily and act like, I didn't know anything was wrong. You're so strong. You didn't name it. No. Whatever. Now, guys, the bitterness has evaporated. I don't care. I'm fine. It worked out greatly, and it made me stronger. I mean, Kelly Clarkson never lied. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? So I am stronger for it. But a lot of these people that you're riding and dying for and being fully immersed in your trauma bond, gone for would not do the same for you. And what happens is when you stay connected, then you have terrible karma. Terrible things started happening to me when I was around her. Terrible things started happening before I could even get to her because my angels were saying specifically, we don't want you around her. And I was acting like I didn't hear them. I was like, hmm. And also, here's the thing, what happened in her life, she had lots of messages too. I know it because before she shut down the portal of communication, then and it was shut down purposely. My angels were like, we didn't want you to help her, so she thought she was being gleeful and hiding things from you. That they said we were hiding you from her. So take that message as it works for you. But that happened purposely so that I couldn't advise her because I wasn't listening. And the last time that I went, they said, this will be the last time that you're here. They gave me the message loud and clear while I was there. Before I went up there, they were like, enjoy every minute of this. Take it in. She's going to be horrible, but just know you'll never see her again because she's not listening. And we're going to bring a tower down in her life that is going to shake everyone around her and make her see that God is the only way. And it's not all these somebodies that love to play. In any case, I started to have bad karma, period, for being around her. Bad things happened. Things weren't happening. Things weren't popping in my life or career because I put a lot of energy into keeping her out of in the clear. And she just loved chaos and she loved to mess it up every time. She was demonic and low vibrational. I loved her, but she was what she was. She was not a good human at all, and she was a liar. And my angel said, is this who you are? And I was like, no, guys. And they're like, we know. So what are you doing here? That's a question that you will get asked by your team that loves you and is trying to protect you. What are you doing here? What's the objective, my love? And I was like, well, the objective is XYZ to the third power. And if I could, whatever, whatever. And they're like, no, there's no objective. This person is not valuing your sage advice. And then they started to monetize my advice and they said, do you get paid to save her life? Because what she's doing is spitting in your face. And she's causing you disgrace. I'm hearing mud on your face, a big disgrace. Yeah, the tower will rock you. And now she got rocked too. But I did too, in losing and in walking away from that. But I listened. I'm not just saying it to be funny. There's a right way to do a tower and there's a wrong way. Okay? And I did it the right way. It wasn't easy, but I listened ahead of time, just like my friend that I told you about, who left right before the devil wanted to rip her stomach out, right before she was going to be gutted. Can you imagine had she had waited and then he comes and confesses that he did that to hurt her because he was pissed that he was no longer in control of the narrative with her, that she had taken her power back. So he wanted to cause one more final injury because narcissists have only one way to be, which is complete assholes. And so he did that. And that was what he wanted to do. But I said, I'm so proud of you. Can you imagine if he would have got the jump on you? It's not a competition, but sometimes the angels are testing you to see, do you want to listen to us or listen to that person who is trying to kill you energetically? So stop trying to intercept the tower because there's only a couple of things that are going to happen, guys. They will still do what they want to do anyway. And then they're looking at you like you're the devil. And then you're getting karma that you never earned, don't deserve for trying to help someone. If you talk to them 3 times over a span of whatever, I predicted for my person that the tower would fall specifically with her person. The person that came in her life, I was like, oh, this person's not the right one. And I had advised her correctly on other people, and she had listened to me previously. And I told her, hey, this person, be careful. I don't know if she thought I was hating or jealous or whatever. That's another thing that will happen too, because people are wild because they can't imagine that you would have real insight, and they don't trust themselves. So why would they trust you? And that's the real truth. But I had predicted for an ex of hers, hey, or whatever, I don't even want to call it an ex, as it wasn't really an ex, but someone she was having an affair with, I said, listen, this is not the way to go, sis, and this is not going to end well. And the person that she was having an affair with rejected her, treated her badly, and started to do what people in affairs do, was choose their marriage, because she was like, I'm not coming out for you, I'm not doing all this for you. And she cried and cried and cried, the person that I warned, but she did listen to me, so the tower fell, but it wasn't badly. The next time it happened, another affair, she has a flavor and a type, we all do. She was like, F you, I'm pushing you away, you're evil, you're bad, I'm not listening to anything you have to say, this is the best thing ever. And I was like, we have a track history of me guiding you correctly. Why wouldn't you listen to me if I've never steered you wrong? And there have been times where she's gone headlong into towers, and went along for the ride because my angels were like, it's okay, her first wife, and they said this is going to be a tower anyway. It took 7 years, it was still a tower. I wasn't wrong, and she told me so in the end. So I have a beautiful track history and record of with that person who I used to call a friend, of predicting accurately wild Taliban behavior in her life, or when she was being reckless and not acting right. And this time, for whatever reason, that devil energy got a hold of her so strong that she was like, you know what, you know who's in the wrong? You know who I hate? You, the person who's been in my life my whole life, who has been a true friend to me in every capacity, who has protected me actually, never taken advantage of me, never used me, etc., etc., etc. But you clearly must be wrong, because sometimes when we love something, we love it. I would liken her situation, her tower, to what we're watching with Johnny Depp. The same cliche: a younger person comes in, and you lose your mind, and you are all of a sudden on demon time, and your whole life changes. I wasn't wrong. And it's not just about saying you're not wrong, but it is to say trust your instincts. Because I was certainly gaslit, like a lot of you have been, in the situation where she was like, this is not only the best friend, after your position, this is the best friend I've ever had in my life. And I laughed and laughed, and me and my angels did too. They're like, girl, just wait. And I said, I don't even have to. I already know how it's going to go. It's going to go horribly. And they're like, it's going to go worse than horribly. It's going to be the worst thing that ever happened to her in her life. Now, I can laugh about it because she wasn't treating me right, and she was wild. But the truth of the matter is, sometimes you just have to sit back and smile and say, oh, okay, the best in your life, excellent. But don't stay trying to stop them from the tower that they want to fall. Sometimes the tower has to fall for people to get the lesson, y'all. You get it? Message. Sometimes it has to fall for them to get it. It had to fall for us. I couldn't avoid what happened, even though I was gently lulled into it. My angels were like sweethearts with me, and they're like, sweetie, we're going to take this from you because it's horrible for you. It's killing you. It's arsenic to your soul. And I was like, no. But hold on, guys. Second layer of lipstick for the right ombre to tone down this bright pink. Alright, we're almost done. Lashes are on now. I just gotta do the last piece here. Alright. So I was so reluctant when that happened because I didn't want them to take my thing. And they said, this thing is horrible for you. It was never meant for you. They see no value in you. Girl, you got to get your life. We got to move you on expeditiously to something that's going to treat you right and be right for you. And that's also why towers fall too, guys. Give me one more second. Thank you for your patience, guys. I love you. I'm trying out a new Milani, and I am, which is funny because I love Milani, but they have been out on my staple color, so I had to go to something else. And in order for me to love it, message, I'm having to freak it. I'm having to like do a few things with it in order for it to be a color that really works for me. But I think I got it. I think I achieved nirvana. All right, so that's the message there, guys. Don't try to help them avoid their tower. Their tower is falling because it has to. It's falling because it's meant to. It's falling because they weren't listening to you. It's falling because we all go through towers that fall. It doesn't mean that you're a bad friend because you didn't stop it. You can become a bad friend if you get too codependent and you try to intercept it. That's never going to go well for you in the long run. You're just going to get your feelings hurt, and more than likely, you're going to get rejected. So be very mindful about how invested you are when someone's tower falls, because you have probably been neglected in that situation. They probably haven't been paying the right attention to you. They probably have been thinking you're the villain causing problems there. Step away and clear the air and let them see that the thing that they had to fear was in front of them. you know? And don't be scapegoated. That's the other thing, guys. Don't be scapegoated by trying to save their life, because that's what I noticed happened in my case anyway. It was my problem. It was my fault. Why did I say what I had to say? I put a curse on. I mean, the lack of responsibility taken for the very clear choices that that person was making was astounding to me. But set yourself free. And that is what I have to say about towers. Don't try to be Captain Save a Ho for people that want you to go, that don't like you. Some of these people are betraying you for people that don't like them. So that's also an interesting little uh, a little juxtaposition, a wrinkle in time, if you will. And that's another message. A lot of people betrayed you for people that didn't even really like them. They were trying to fit in with people that didn't like them. And if my angel showed me a lot of the things that the persons around them would say, and they were like, "Why were you trying to stop the tower happening? The tower needed to happen. The reality check needed to happen. You had been." Just like I said about that guy and his wife, my friend, and her ex husband, I had been a buffer for my friend. Does that make sense? So she didn't ever have to experience the harsh realities of the world where people didn't deal with her BS, and where people weren't like forever, upholding her and reassuring her and advising her. Yeah, I think she's probably learned many lessons, but that's what the tower is there. The tower is literally designed to teach you lessons about treating people properly, about how to treat yourself properly. That was my tower. My tower was about self-respect. I had been going through a lot of little mini towers and gauntlets, but she was the final test. They were like, "Will you divest from someone that you didn't ever want to fight with, that you didn't ever want this drama with?" But she brought the drama to you repeatedly, and she did it insidiously too. Sometimes you got to stand up for yourself. She'd never do it again, but she never could get close to me to do it again. And if she did, it just wouldn't be the same experience, meaning that I hurt her feelings on a regular basis. Yes, me, an empath, an earth angel, a practitioner, would hurt her feelings on a regular basis. That's why I stay away from her, because I would just be telling her horrible things. And nobody deserves that. Even she deserves to move on and have a life with someone who likes her and treats her right and whatever, and someone who she can actually learn to treat right. We learn lessons differently with different people. So, that's it. Keep your tower time down to a minimum if you can. We usually have a few in every life. It could be a health tower. I had a health tower last year. I had lots of that one I didn't get a lot of warning with, but you do get tested on how you move through a thing. I was tested energetically, emotionally, and spiritually. And my angel said, "Do you want to do this the hard way, the easy way, or the long way?" And I kind of feel like I voted for all three. It took a lot longer than I wanted it to be. Though the doctors say it was shorter than they've seen. Whatever, guys, who knows? But towers happen and you can't avoid them. That's just the thing. A car crash is a tower. A sudden lawsuit is a tower. A divorce, a slip and fall. These are tower moments. It's scorpionic energy that comes in that ends something via death and or changes it by making nothing ever be the same. It's something that person said to me at the end of it, because she felt like it was about one thing, because I wasn't trying to deal, because I was like, "I've already talked to you, and I'm not like your parents. I'm not coddling you with your bullshit. I'm not like your son. I'm not going to passive aggressively enable it. God bless his soul. He can only do what he can do. I'm not like the other people around you. If this is intervention, I'm the counselor that's slapping you in the face and saying, 'Get your life, boo.' I have no more patience for you." So, when she was like, "I just feel like nothing's ever going to be the same," and she thought it was because I had told her to her face the truth of our connection and relationship and held her accountable to honor it, and she thought that was the reason. I was like, "Girl, what about this whole secret life you've been living? What about all the lies? What about the shit you've been talking? What about your disguise? What about your two-facedness? That's the tower, mama, and your angels were talking to you when I wasn't and telling you not to do this shit, and you still did it." So no, sometimes people try to gaslight you. "Well, I don't understand," but nothing is the same as what I was saying here. Even she understood intuitively, even though she was trying to pretend she couldn't see my point or my reasoning or my rationality. She understood, "Oh, we're never going to be back to what we were before." No, never, ever, ever. It's like, what's that guy on TikTok? Never, never, never. Don't forget the Bev. Yeah, now she's thirsty. And now other people are thirsty in your life that you tried to warn and help avoid their towers so they didn't have to stay up at night stalking your life and your social media. You try to help them to avoid, as my favorite comedians say, some of my favorite comedians, avoid the bookings, beloved. The bookings is when you when you get literally booked on a crime in New York specifically, and they say it as it's like a joke, but avoid the bookings, beloved. They would say to their demographic of younger guys that were watching them, meaning don't get caught up over the weekend being drunk and being outlandish and then get like caught up and get a case. So the tower, it gives you a case. Avoid the bookings, beloved. I was trying to help people avoid the bookings. You have been trying to help people avoid the bookings, but they didn't want to avoid them. So then what can you do? You can go to jail for them too, or end up in a prison of your own making energetically because of the stupid things that they do. And that's what was happening to me. I was like, this disrespectful, ungrateful girl. I was done. I was too through because I realized this is not a person that values you. She doesn't even value herself. A lot of people take offense when we're watching that happen and we're like, "Oh my gosh, how could this be? How could they treat me this way?" Well, because that's how they treat themselves. You don't understand that when it's happening. You think, "Oh no, there must be something that I can do. There must be some way that I can save them." No, girl, they're wild to themselves. They're wild to their children. They're wild to their family. They lie to everybody around them. You can't save them. You could be their friend, but only for a certain while and only for a certain amount of time and distance. And then after that, you bid them adieu and say, avoid the bookings, beloved, because I can't help you anymore. Okay? There are just some people that are beyond reproach. All right. I am done with my makeup and I have got to get out of here. I love you guys so much. Let me see if there's any comments. Title hits hard. Hi, Monet. Hi, Kesala. Started from the beginning. Hi, Rain. Hi, sweetie. Yep, nothing remains the same. It's so true. It's nothing remains the same. People think it's a game when they mess with you, and then when they divest from you the first time, and after you tried to warn them, and you're like, "This girl's not good for you. This man's not good for you. This situation's not good for you. Don't embezzle that Bernie Madoff." Like, then God says, "Okay, cool. They weren't listening. Now we're gonna do the rest from here." And nothing is the same after that. It forever changes the atmosphere of not only your connection, your relationship, and their life. Finishing touches on that, and it's nothing, and there's nothing that they can then get right from there. Rain says, yeah, and when you gave a warning after warning, then they get the smoke. Yeah. Momo's happy place. I tried to get my ex to see that it was necessary to end and restart and do the relationship in a healthier way by doing some healing and space. Unfortunately, polyamory became its new way. Y'all know how I feel about polyamory. If I could drop kick polyamory, I would. I think because it's not polyamory. You know, that's the thing, Momo's happy place. He wasn't having a healthy polyamorous relationship. He wasn't reading The Ethical Slut, which is a book written by people that are advising how to do the best, most ethical polyamorous relationship. Threesomes are hard. What did they say? Come and knock on my door. Three's Company is a show, and even that was filled with hijinks of craziness because of, competitions and weird little behaviors, etc., etc. It was funny. God bless the dead. But I will tell you that it was not something that any of us could actually sustain. And when these narcissists are like, we're polyamorous, no, they didn't invite you into polyamory. They didn't invite you into healthy third parties. They invited you into ultimate fuckery. And we're like, don't you love this? Don't you love that I have another person that's making you feel like ish? Don't you love that I pick someone who is so not even comparable to you, but they make me feel good and they're my new boo? That's not polyamory. That's effery. And you don't get polyamory unless you have permission. Also, I like to think of the African tradition where if you can't afford energetically, emotionally, spiritually, or actually your new person the extra addition, then you don't get to have them. These broke, dusty people in our lives and in our past lives that came in with like this whole polyamory, let's give it a try nonsense, were broke energetically, spiritually, and actually. Their credit was bad completely in all ways. And they were like, oh, don't you want to take on this new broken person who's a hot mess too? Because your energy cleaning has worked so good for me. I thought you'd love to have two. Because I want to have two. Please. It's so funny when I hear polyamory, when my clients talk to me, I try to be objective. Here, I'm very clear and candid with you guys. But when people tell me about that nonsense, I'm like, oh, oh, they were polyamorous? No, they were polyamorous. They weren't even polyamorous. They were just hoes. They were just cheaters, and they just thought so. And they are not even that good. It reminds me of DJ Envy recently, a radio show DJ who recently, his wife came out as saying that she hadn't orgasmed in their whole marriage or 10 years or something insane and crazy. Meanwhile, back on the farm, DJ Envy actually went and had an affair with Erica Mena. So he took his broke, non-good stroke penis out of the marriage. It wasn't even pleasing the wife that held him down, buried his kids, made more money than him for many years. And he decided to go have an affair because he thought so. And it reminded me so much of my situation in other ways. But I was like, you not, girl, I was so sick of people. I was like, you actually good at anything person thinks so, like you're so magical. No, that's because we pump people up and we make them feel like they're so magical, and then they're like, you know what, someone else will think I'm magical too, and maybe someone inexperienced will, but the truth is the truth is the truth. They're probably getting used, even though, hold on one second, guys. Oh, it's been like a really long time. That's the last step in my makeup. If I don't get it right, that one sucks. It ruins my whole day. All right, so they're probably getting used, is what I really have to say. So while they're all like, oh, break my heart, they love me forever. No, they don't. They don't love you. They love what you're doing for them in whatever capacity, because probably what you're doing is not even as great. Just like like his wife wasn't satisfied, I'm sure Erica Mena wasn't either. His wife just went along for the ride because she was dedicated and already committed to her sorry husband. Just like some of us were committed to our sorry husbands, wives, partners, whatever the case may be, and they weren't satisfying us in any capacity, hilariously. So, any case, guys, we stayed because we were loyal. We stayed because we love people. We stayed because we were the foil to their bad behavior. We stayed because we were trauma bonded. We stayed because we were codependent. We stayed because we loved them to some degree. I'm not mad at you, girl. I'm mad at me. But we stayed. And the other message is that we left too. So God bless you if you left and stopped with his nonsense. Let's see here. Very true. Thank you so much and blessings. Say it. So crazy. I love you guys. I've got to get out of here. My husband's gonna be giving me the "Are you ready yet?" side eye. I am ready now. Thank you for doing my makeup with me, and I promise one day we'll do it together on camera, okay, for you guys to see. I love you so much. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.